It was not you, grave death, raptor of iron plumage, that the drab tenant of such lodgings carried, mixed with his gobble rations under hollow skin. Rather, a trodden tendril of old rope, the atom of a courage that gave way, or some harsh dew never distilled to sweat. This could not be reborn, a particle of death without a requiem. Bare bone, or fading church bell dying from within. Lifting these bandages, reeking of iodine, I plunge my hands in humble aches that would have smothered dying, and nothing did I meet within the wound save wind in gusts that chilled my cold interstices of soul. These are the 5 first poems of the book, The Heights of Machu Picchu. As you noticed, the mood of the poet is on the despair of people and their everyday lives, the humdrum life of the cities, as he says. Also, his despair in trying to find some solution to that. Why be like that? Why do they live like that? Why they have each a small death daily? What is there different for them? What can he do for them? And there comes the poem number 6, where Machu Picchu is mentioned, where the poet arrives at that site. However, when he stands on top of Machu Picchu, writes his translator Tarn, the natural and human elements are of utmost importance to him as he sees down below the masses going about their everyday affairs, ignorant of the greatness that exists up there in Machu Picchu and down where they live and inside them. Neruda comes to bring all this greatness to their level, sometimes with simple words, and at other times with the symbolism he uses to clarify and underscore that everything is meaningful and important in this world, including his own pilgrimage to Machu Picchu. I'll go back to the 5 poems we read, and I'll refer to them one by one, what each one meant. The first poem started with the image of an empty net dredging through streets, but getting nothing important. The second poem deals with the contrast between the natural renewal and man who grinds down to the level, who grinds things down to the level of his impoverished self. The third poem works around the modern way of life, man walking around as if in a maze, accomplishing nothing of value. The fourth poem turns its direction into the poet and his love for the people, but he realizes he cannot help them as long as they still work for their daily life. The fifth poem defines this kind of death with surrealistic images, leaving the final vision of modern life with nothing in its wounds save wind in gusts. But from the beginning of the sixth poem, the book begins to rise as Neruda climbs upward in space towards Machu Picchu, where he declares here two lines that had run parallel, meet and fuse. The line behind, small man and petty deaths, and the line of permanence, remember that word, permanence, met behind the line of permanence, behind the recurring fertility of nature and his response to what he saw at the side. What did really Neruda see at the side? The building. But he didn't stop there. Neruda saw the multitude of people, slave labor most likely, that built that site. Beside most of the most beautiful sites in the world were built by slave labor. This one was one of them as well. So he sees the people working, struggling to put this city together. And he sees in them a goal, the discipline, the effort, and he tries to become their spokesperson. Neruda wants to tell their story, which he does 2 years later when he writes the book. But what he also saw is what was the result of their effort? What did they leave behind? They left behind this beautiful building, which we visit so many years later, and we see them like he saw them himself, there, struggling and fighting and building the city. And what do they accomplish by doing so? They defeat transience and they enter permanence. Remember the word permanence. They're there forever because of their work. Because everyone who was there sees them working, building the city like Neruda did. Farn again writes, Neruda feels that he can identify with the absolute death he finds on the heights, but his search for his true death has been a search for a more positive kind of identity as well, and also for identification through nature and his fellow man. The journey backward in time and upward in space was an exploration in which the poet learned more by means of feeling rather than by means of thought, to see new facets of the truth, both about himself and about the nature of human life. However, the journey doesn't end at this point. There is not just death in the city. There is life of stone after so many lives. And this discovery goes on to the next two poems. Let us now read poem number 6 and poem number 7.